Well, hey, everybody, and welcome to the Daily Bible Podcast presented by Saint Church. My name's Caleb, and our hope is to help you study the Word of God every single day. Every day, we're taking time to upload episodes onto Spotify, Apple, and YouTube, where we read a chapter of the Bible, we look at the context it was written in, and we see what it has to say for us today. And so today, we're going to continue doing that by reading out of Genesis chapter 31, and we're going to be seeing what it has. Now, real quick, real fast, if you're over on YouTube and you end up enjoying this, take a moment to subscribe to the channel, even consider leaving a like on the video. It means so much. If you're over on Apple or Spotify, take some time to follow the podcast. And if you got a moment, leave a rating and a review. 5 stars really means a lot. It really does help more people know about this content. But with that being said, we're just going to dive right on into Genesis chapter 31, where we are going to be seeing Jacob and Laban's relationship now end up being fully severed as Jacob is going to have to flee from him. Let's dive in. Starting in verse 1, it says this. Jacob heard that Laban's sons were saying, Jacob has taken everything our father owned and has gained all this wealth from what belonged to our father. And Jacob noticed that Laban's attitude toward him was not what it had been. Then the Lord said to Jacob, go back to the land of your fathers and to your relatives, and I will be with you. So Jacob sent word to Rachel and Leah to come out to the fields where his flocks were. He said to them, I see that your father's attitude toward me is not what it was before, but the God of my father has been with me. You know that I've worked for your father with all my strength, yet your father has cheated me by changing my wages 10 times. However, God has not allowed him to harm me. If he said, the speckled ones will be your wages, then all the flocks gave birth to speckled young. And if he said, the streaked ones will be your wages, then all the flocks bore streaked young. So God has taken away your father's livestock and has given them to me. In breeding season, I once had a dream in which I looked up and saw that the male goats mating with the flock were streaked, speckled, or spotted. The angel of God said to me in the dream, Jacob. I answered, here I am. And he said, look up and see that all the male goats mating with the flock are streaked, speckled, or spotted. For I have seen all that Laban has been doing to you. I am the God of Bethel, where you anointed a pillar and where you made a vow to me. Now leave this land at once and go back to your native land. Then Rachel and Leah replied, do we still have any share in the inheritance of our father's estate? Does he not regard us as foreigners? Not only has he sold us, but he has used up what was paid for us. Surely all the wealth that God took away from our father belongs to us and our children. So do whatever God has told you. Then Jacob put his children and his wives on camels, and he drove all his livestock ahead of him, along with all the goods he had accumulated in Padan Aram, and to go to his father Isaac in the land of Canaan. When Laban had gone to shear his sheep, Rachel stole her father's household gods. Moreover, Jacob deceived Laban the Aramean by not telling him he was running away. So he fled with all he had, crossing the Euphrates River, and headed for the hill country of Gilead. On the 3rd day, Laban was told that Jacob had fled. Taking his relatives with him, he pursued Jacob for 7 days and caught up with him in the hill country of Gilead. Then God came to Laban the Aramean in a dream at night and said to him, be careful not to say anything to Jacob, either good or bad. Jacob had pitched his tent in the hill country of Gilead when Laban overtook him, and Laban and his relatives camped there too. Then Laban said to Jacob, what have you done? You've deceived me, and you've carried off my daughters like captives in war. Why did you run off secretly and deceive me? Why didn't you tell me so I could send you away with joy and singing to the music of timbrels and harps? You didn't even let me kiss my grandchildren and my daughters goodbye. You have done a foolish thing. I have the power to harm you, but last night the God of your father said to me, be careful not to say anything to Jacob, either good or bad. Now you have gone off because you long to return to your father's household. But why did you steal my gods? Jacob answered Laban, I was afraid because I thought you would take your daughters away from me by force. But if you find anyone who has your gods, that person shall not live. In the presence of our relatives, see for yourself whether there is anything of yours here with me, and if so, take it. Now Jacob did not know that Rachel had stolen the gods. So Laban went into Jacob's tent, into Leah's tent, and into the tent of the two female servants, but he found nothing. After he came out of Leah's tent, he entered Rachel's tent. Now Rachel had taken the household gods and put them inside her camel saddle and was sitting on them. Laban searched through everything in the tent but found nothing. Rachel said to her father, "Don't be angry, my lord, that I cannot stand up in your presence. I am having my period." So he searched, but could not find the household gods. Jacob was angry and took Laban to task. "What is my crime?" he asked Laban. "How have I wronged you that you hunt me down? Now that you have searched through all my goods, what have you found that belongs to your household? Put it here in front of your relatives and mine, and let them judge between the two of us. I have been with you for 20 years now. Your sheep and goats have not miscarried, nor have I eaten rams from your flocks. I did not bring you animals torn by wild beasts. I bore the loss myself, and you demanded payment from me for whatever was stolen by day or night. This was my situation. The heat consumed me in the daytime and the cold at night, and sleep fled from my eyes. It was like this for the 20 years I was in your household. I worked for you 14 years for your 2 daughters and 6 years for your flocks, and you changed my wages 10 times. If the God of my father, the God of Abraham, and the fear of Isaac had not been with me, you would surely have sent me away empty-handed. But God has seen my hardship and the toil of my hands, and last night he rebuked you." Laban answered Jacob, "The women are my daughters, the children are my children, the flocks are my flocks. All you see is mine. Yet what can I do today about these daughters of mine or about the children they have borne? Come now, let's make a covenant, you and I, and let it serve as a witness between us." So Jacob took a stone and set it up as a pillar. He said to his relatives, "Gather some stones." So they took stones and piled them in a heap, and they ate there by the heap. Laban called it Yager Sahadutha, and Jacob called it Gilead. Laban said, "This heap is a witness between you and me today." This is why it was called Gilead. It was also called Mizpah, because he said, "May the Lord keep watch between you and me when we are away from each other. If you mistreat my daughters, or if you take any wives besides my daughters, even though no one is with us, remember that God is a witness between you and me." Laban also said to Jacob, "Here is this heap and here is this pillar I have set up between you and me. This heap is a witness and this pillar is a witness that I will not go past this heap to your side to harm you, and that you will not go past this heap and pillar to my side to harm me. May the God of Abraham and the God of Nahor, the God of their father, judge between us." So Jacob took an oath in the name of the fear of his father Isaac. He offered a sacrifice there in the hill country and invited his relatives to a meal. After they had eaten, they spent the night there. Early the next morning, Laban kissed his grandchildren and his daughters and blessed them. Then he left and returned home. And that's the close of Genesis chapter 31. Now, again, this is a narrative. This is a story that's pretty particular. It's really particular for Jacob, for his family, for this situation they're in. But there's still a few things that we should really understand here. Now, one thing that we need to make sure we understand, especially based off of Laban's words, Laban is upset. Laban's upset that Jacob would flee, that his daughters would flee, his grandchildren would flee, all these different things, that they would run away, basically. And Laban, he's upset because, again, this is a patriarch-based society where you would have it where the elder men within the community, well, for the family, they oversaw the whole family. When we talked about in past chapters, Jacob and Esau's birthright and blessing and that sort of a thing, that's what we're talking about. The fact that there were institutions within the family unit that certain men were to lead until they were gone. So Laban, when he looks and he says, "This is all my flocks, these are all my children, these are all my people," that sort of a thing, when he's telling Jacob that, well, culturally, he's not wrong. Culturally, he's not wrong, that he still is a patriarch figure within this family, and that basically he's saying, anything you have, Jacob, you better realize, yes, God blessed it, but it was through me, and that sort of a thing. Yet in this moment, we do have the reality that Jacob, and especially his father Isaac, still carry weight within the land. And so Laban is afraid. He does look and say, man, if I was to do something, not only has God appeared and told me to keep my hands off of Jacob, I know that Isaac would send his household after me, and they are a mighty household. And so as we read through this today, really the biggest thing that I think matters for us is, one, we need to live lives that are above approach. What we end up seeing is that Rachel, well, she is deceptive. She did lie. She did take the household gods. She wasn't found out for it yet. But in this moment, what we end up having to acknowledge and see is that, well, Jacob, he's telling a lot of partial truths. He was doing a lot of things within his own knowledge and understanding that were able to see things happen the way he desired to see it happen. And yes, God blessed him, God moved in and through him, but he didn't live a life and do everything in a way that Laban could trust him fully. Now, Laban, was he trustworthy? No, but that's the thing. It's not always about what others are doing towards us. It's about what we would do towards them. And so Jacob, in his frustration, he still should have sought to have done it right. Now, there is also this part of it, which I think does matter, is Jacob constantly in this journey agreed to the terms that Laban kept setting. He did. He agreed to the 7 years and then another 7 years so that he would have Leah and Rachel. He agreed to the 6 years of working for the flocks. He agreed to all these wage changes that he's now upset about. What matters here that we would recognize? Jacob felt like Laban was taking advantage of him. But Jacob also was allowing this to take place as he agreed, as he was making oath and agreement to these things. So for him to turn, it's not necessarily right for him either. So what are we seeing in this story? It's messy. It's a messy story. It's not an easy one. It's not one that's clean cut or anything like that. Yet what we see is that God is still present in it. And what's he doing? He is fixing people's messes. Why does God appear to Laban? Because Laban was rolling up with his family probably to take back everything and maybe even take Jacob's life. But instead, because God appears and God says, hey, just be careful about what you do, Laban relents. And also the Lord speaks to Jacob to help Jacob get back on the right path. Why? Because Jacob had stayed too long. Because Jacob had grown content with where he was at. So ultimately, what are we seeing in this story so far? People make it messy, and God is constantly trying to fix it. So friend, today for you and me, can I just encourage you with this? Take time to lean in and say, God, what are you asking me to do? How can I live above reproach? And how can I honor the path that you've placed before me? And one last thing that I think that matters for Jacob today. Jacob still has not yet accepted that the Lord is his God. He continues to refer to God as the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac. He even in this chapter refers to the fear of Isaac, that's why Laban's not doing anything. What do we have to understand here? Jacob was experiencing, yes, the blessing of God, but he still needed to know God. And so, friend, today I want to encourage you to know the Lord, to know him, to follow after him, to not just receive blessing from him, but know that he cares about you and he wants to do life with you. And so, friend, with that being said, that's what I got for you today. If you got any questions, comment them down below. I'd love to dialogue with you. If you're on YouTube, subscribe to the channel, leave a like on the video. If you're over on the podcasts, take some time to follow, leave a rating and review. 5 stars really means a lot. But with that being said, that's what I got for you today. So thanks for jumping on. See you tomorrow because we're taking time to study the Word of God every single day.